Arc Raiders revealed what Expedition 3 would entail later last week, and it came with a bit of frustration. The system as we knew it was being upended in order to make way for a more engaging end of the season challenge. But the only thing was, well, they detailed the type of challenge we'd have, but not enough to adequately know what you'd need to do in such a little amount of time. This caused a bit of a stir, but today Embark actually announced meaningful change to that new system announced. So in this one, we're running down what you should know and how it impacts your gaming experience in the upcoming weeks. Drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you enjoy the video, and make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Arc Raiders and even more FPS content. I'd love to have in the community, but for now, let's get into it. So the expedition coming up. For this one, it's the same as always up until a point. You need to contribute to your expedition project, going through the initial pages of contributions for specific items. Then you can contribute items worth of value, and then you're ready to go. After that, you just have to accept and opt into the expedition itself. Now, in the past, skill points were granted as the main reward you were going for into the next reset. These were based upon shared coin and inventory value. 5 million for Expedition 1, 3 million for Expedition 2. Now for months, the devs have on record said this wasn't always going to be the case, and the coins were simply what they had time to do with the launch of the game, but it was never the end goal for how the expedition would actually work, and they fully acknowledged that it was kind of annoying, boring, and a non-engaging way to go about the progression system. So they changed it. With a blog post about Expedition 3 on Friday, they announced the damage challenge. They said that we need to deal damage for the reset, where instead of gathering stash and coin value, players will now have to deal damage to get all 5 skill points, regardless if it's your first, second, or third expedition. All players who've completed their caravan will get the challenge, no need to sign up to see it. You can complete the challenge by dealing damage with any weapon or gadget against any target except practice ranges. So, meaning PvP and PvE are both engaged there, meaning you can just shoot at Arc or you can shoot at players. You don't have to change your playstyle to get these skill points. So again, the big thing out of this was, well, the damage, and of course, the fact that this was a blanket thing for all players involved. Whether it was your first or second expedition, or even third, didn't matter. If it was one of those ones you were lagging behind on, you're 1 or 2 behind, you still have this damage challenge upcoming. You don't have the same coin value you did beforehand based off the 5 or 3 mil in the past expedition windows. This time around, it's just the entire window that challenge is active for anybody that decides to take part in it. Now, the initial timing of the window was something that presented 2 different problems here. Number 1, we didn't know the damage requirements, and 2, the window was incredibly short because previously it was April 28th to midnight Pacific going into May 4th, so 5 days and a few hours in change. Depending on what those requirements were, it's not a lot of time to end up completing that challenge. Like, I'm sure, yeah, the hardcore grinders would be able to get it done, but would the average Joes be able to? That was the big question mark that was posed after this. But the first big change that Embark has made is there's now a new window for the expedition. Announced as the expedition window has been extended. You will now be able to fulfill the damage requirement between April 28th at 11 a.m. UTC to Monday the 11th at 7 a.m. UTC, which I believe again is West Coast midnight going into the 11th. But then they said, we hope this gives all players enough time to log in and get those 5 extra skill points. You'll also find a list of required damage values for each skill point included below. So a 13-day window now is definitely much more manageable, and it's nice because those damage values that they did detail actually do seem very obtainable within this almost 2-week window. So as of today, Embark also detailed that 1 skill point will be 5,000 damage, 2 skill points will be 10,000 damage, 3 skill points will require 30,000, 4 will require 50,000, and all 5 skill points that you can clear the table with will end up requiring 100,000 damage. So this is something that, I mean, you see those damage calculators pop up whenever you deal damage for the XP in-game and what that requires. But without any actual conversions, how does that look for a quick comparison? Well, Embark explicitly said, to put it in perspective, 100,000 damage is approximately the equivalent to destroying 20 bastions. We've tested these thresholds internally and found that in a single very good round, 8,000 to 10,000 damage was an achievable number. And that I actually do think I agree with. As somebody that has done so much big game hunting and just helping other people out finding stuff or needing things like the cores for different larger arc, it is something you'll breeze past that very quickly if you do it consciously. Like 20 bastions, still a lot, absolutely. It's gonna take a handful of raids to end up doing this just sheer going for damage, but it is possible if you end up consciously going for it. Now, of course, from a PvP perspective, it might be a bit more of a hurdle just because of how much health a player has versus how many players you'll end up seeing. But again, it comes down to however you want to play. It is possible, but those are much more manageable than I'm sure a lot of people may have thought we'd see. Of course, the initial challenge we had for the expedition in Expedition 1 of 5 million coins, that was a daunting task just because it was announced with like sub 2 weeks left before the expedition window closed. So it was something that it was a lot of things to gather in a short period of time. The uncertainty of what this challenge would be, I think, introduced a lot more frustration than now what we see with this. It's still a daunting task for sure. It's something you can consciously chip away with, but the nice part is, of course, we now know what it is, but we also have that extension of another 8 days to work with on that. So not only one, does it give opportunity to those that may have missed that initial 5-day window for whatever reason, but it also gives you more extended time if you are a more casual player that you don't get as much time to chip away with this one. Now that said, I do think it is worth opening the discussion up because yes, it is very, very nice to see these changes made quickly, swiftly, and based off of community feedback directly, but I think going into the future, it still can be a little better. The challenge itself, I don't have any issue with. It was always the timing. 100,000 damage in that 13-day window is absolutely manageable, but that's if you have time to play. And to me, it feels almost like that Netflix, are you still watching type of message, that this challenge is introduced only in that window rather than being a season-long challenge, something like the coin value was, tasking you over the course of 2 months to accumulate something to then help you out on your reset and then the next chapter that you have as a raider. This being a sort of window, it just seems like a capper rather than a season-long thing, and maybe that's by design, maybe that's something we just have to get used to, but for me, it seems like it would be something that I think a lot more people would have a lot more acceptance to if there was more time to fully dive into that. Even if the challenge is a lot more taxing in that regard, I think that'd be totally fine. But to just have that insight on what you need is very beneficial. I think the challenge overall is a great way to reduce gear fear, bring in the things you want to use but otherwise wouldn't, spend your coins on utility, ammo, you name it, but I think the better way to approach it would just be to be a season-long challenge. Like for me, again, even if it's more taxing and I just know what I need to accomplish throughout the season, like 100,000 for 1 skill point, 250,000 for 2, 500,000 for 3, 750 for 4, and 1 million damage over the course of 2 months or so for those 5 skill points, it would allow players to do it on their own time with proper notice so they can make it work. And I don't think it'd be as daunting of a task at that point. Yeah, the hardcore players would absolutely breeze through, still a 10 times increase on that damage required, but with 2 months of time, it gives proper players for all who are interested, no matter their circumstances, to have the opportunity to take advantage of the bonuses for the expedition. All in all, this is still a change for the better and something that I definitely am happy to see having been made. We can talk all about the future and how we can make things better, but for the time being and without entirely removing the system that they were introducing with this expedition, this is the best way I think they could handle it and something that should hopefully be more accessible and fair for all players involved. That said, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of this change here? Do you think it is now made too easy? Do you think it's just right? Do you think it's still a little tough to obtain all that within the 13-week window? Let me know your thoughts, but if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to almost a single thing running all things Arc Raiders and even more FPS content. We got a big week upcoming here with Riven Tides as of next Tuesday, so looking forward to that. I'd love to have you in the community for all that coverage and beyond. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Modest Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.